In any kind of successful budgeting strategy, you need three things. You need cost control, revenue generation, and long-term planning. All those three things have to work together. You can do whatever you can to cut costs, but if you don't generate revenues, what are you going to do? And plus, you need a long-term plan. So I know it's hard to see this, so I put some initiatives that I think are important for us to do that. First thing, prioritize spending, wants versus needs. And we've heard about this, you want to call it zero-based budgeting, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's telling every department, I want you to prioritize what you have to spend on. What are we required to do? What is mandated by regulation? That's what we have to do. Everything else we'd like to do, right? What's important? Look at each department. I'll give you an example. We have great parks, and I said that. But one of the things that bothered me this year was that we wound up just looking at furloughing employees, and at the same time, we were looking at fertilizing the fields. This was during the whole let's find the $400,000 fiasco. So we're talking about fertilizing the fields, yet we're going to furlough employees. Well, aren't we picking grass over people? Is there something wrong here? So what I suggested, I said, you know, let's take a look at some things. How about if we talk to the recreation clubs, work with them and say, listen, is it possible that maybe we could take $2 off of each child's registration fee and help support some of that? Look at some things. You want to do it. It's important. I don't want to bare bones the town, but we have to start looking at things. It's wants versus needs. Aggressively pursue shared service opportunities. And what I mean by aggressively, I want to have workshops with mayors, utilities authorities to look at what we can do to share services. Now, I know some people, members in the town are concerned, oh, might lose our jobs. You know, it could work the other way. We might be able to find a town who needs some services, needs some support, where our employees can help out. It's a way to look at things. We need to aggressively look at that. Look at every possible opportunity. Leave nothing under the table. Brick, I just read today in Brick that they're combining, they're looking to combine their garbage collection services with Point Pleasant. That may work. You know, maybe it's something we can do. Share the cost of it with another town. Explore opportunities. We need to start discussing things with other towns. Investigate operational efficiencies and savings. Part of my job, I do audits. I do compliance assessments. I look at operational efficiencies. These are things we need to do. Look at each department, right? Look at each department and find out where we can do to improve efficiency, whether it's technology, whether it's labor, what we can do to improve efficiency and increase savings. Now, let me say, some of these ideas, I'm not going to take all the credit for. I've heard them. I've heard these ideas. I heard from Jim. I heard from Tim. I mean, I've heard these ideas. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been spoken about, but the point is that we try to work with people and listen to their ideas. Institute competitive professional services. What do I mean by that? We've all heard about pay to play. Right? Let me take a drink of water. New Jersey has a pay to play law. Lacey Township does not have its own individual pay to play ordinance. What we do is we follow New Jersey pay to play law. And what New Jersey pay to play law does is for local contracts, if a business entity donates more than $300 to a campaign, they cannot be awarded the contract if they were awarded the contract under a sole source, non-fair and open process. So if someone donates $300, more than $300, I cannot award them a contract if I gave it to them on a sole source contract. However, if the contract is competitively bid, if I send a bid out to five companies, they can donate as much as they want up to state law. If you get $7,700, they can donate as much as they want. There is no restriction. So under a fair and open process, there is no exclusion. Here's the problem. Because I used to be a consultant. We would have bids come in. We can tell when they were wired. I mean, you can always wire a bid. You can sit there and say, ask for specific things that only that one company has. Or you can sit there and say, you know what, don't give me a cost to exceed. Just give me an hourly rate. So make sure your hourly rate is really low, but in the long run, the cost to exceed is going to be a lot more. So what I want to do, what I have done, is I put together an ordinance. And it's a pay-to-play ordinance. It is going to restrict not only what New Jersey does, which is a non-fair and open process, it's going to restrict all contributions to a limited amount of $300 during a campaign cycle. Right? $300. Whether it's a fair and open process, whether it's competitively bid. Will it limit campaign financing? Sure will. I've been involved with it. I can tell you it will limit campaign financing. But is this something I think it's important for us to do and something we need to do? It's something that I've spoken to Helen and Sean about. We're going to work together to finalize this ordinance, and it's something, if I'm elected, we're going to introduce initiatives right away to get this adopted so we can have some real competitive professional services. Secondly, I want to explore alternative energy sources. Wind, solar. I don't mean wind on top of Walmart, you know. But look at solar. There's opportunities. Let's see what we can do with solar to generate revenues. There's things that some towns have carports. We have a parking area. Maybe we can have carports, which have solar panels to generate revenues. It also, one of the things I want to look at, too, is possibility of, let's see if we can get a company come in, to encourage companies to come in, attract new businesses, to create jobs, to create maybe a manufacturing facility, maybe a facility to create solar panels. Let's look at all opportunity. Work with it. We have an economic commission, I guess, has never been enacted in town. We should work with them. Let's try to bring new businesses in town. Create jobs, create revenues. Vigorously seek grants and underfunding sources. There are grants out there. I'll tell you they're not the grant. And I've spoken to people like Pat and John. There's a lot of grants out there. Our emergency service department has done a great job getting grants. But this is what I hear all the time. Oh, we are looking for grants. We have T&M. Well, nothing against T&M, but I used to be a consultant. I want to bring business in. I'm only going to look for grants. They're going to help my business. They're not going to look for every grant. So what I think we should look at is maybe hiring a grant writer, basically on a commission-only basis. Let's look at grants. Let's see what we can do to seek grants. Finally, we need to set financial goals for 5- and 10-year plans. Every company does it. Every successful company does it. You set a goal. What is my goal in 5 years? Where does my department want to be? What is the equipment I need? What are my priorities? Set goals. If you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going. So with all this, taxes going up and everything else, what I'm asking all the citizens, I guess, when you go to the voting booth on November 8th is, have you had enough? Or in the world is Peter Finch, I'm as mad as hell and I ain't going to take this anymore. Have you had enough? Have you had enough of your taxes continually increasing, reaching deeper in your pockets to support this township when we get the highest amount of state aid? Have you had enough of no responsible, visible budgetary planning? Have you had enough of a committee when you go up there and they say, give me your ideas, and you give them ideas, and they sit there and say, oh, your idea's no good. Have you had enough of that? Okay? And most importantly, you need to ask yourself, have you had enough of my opponent? Dave Most, who's been in office for 6 years. 6 years he's been in office and has been part of all these problems. He sits up there, he's part of it. He's been part of all these problems. Have you had enough of his tenure? He's voted and approved all these budgets. He's voted, he's negotiated some of these contracts. It's time we hold our committee members accountable. Have you had enough? I think you have had enough. And if you honor me with your vote in November, when I'm a township committee member, I will do everything I can in a transparent manner to develop creative ideas and solutions, because we always should be developing creative ideas and solutions. We always should be thinking outside the box to make sure we have a government that provides you a fiscally responsible government that provides you the essential services and programs that you deserve to make your quality of life the best it can be in Lacey Township. And with that, I thank you. I'm going to take all your questions. Any questions you have, if it's